Hi, welcome back to Get Off My Lawn, Please. It's Reed from Vickie Wednesday. Thanks. Hi, Melinda here with Get Off My Lawn, Please. Welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel, comment below, click the little bell, like my videos, and share them. Really would appreciate it, and it's free. Today is Read from Vickie Wednesday. We're going to continue reading from Vickie by Mike Sims, my husband. He's the author and has given me permission to read this book on YouTube. And I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, comment below. He will answer you. And also, if you like, visit www.mazaroth.net. And I'll try and put the link below on the screen. Okay, today's chapter we're going to start with is Junior Minced. Another year at college has come, and Vickie has been excelling in grades and accomplishments. She is head of several groups as business leaders and future executives. Cindy and Vickie have remained close friends, as Cindy keeps trying to hook Vickie up with guys. John has continued drinking, and his jealousy of Vickie continues to grow into a deep obsession. Meanwhile, Vickie has reached a third-degree black belt in karate and continues vigilantly to better her abilities. She spends another night of teaching karate and starts her evening of Aikido. Sensei Sato has two other people that night that have dressed up for the evening's Aikido lessons. Vickie is wondering who the two are. Sensei Sato greets her. Miss Newsom, these two men are associates of mine, and they have come to test you. Are you okay with that? Vickie bows. Of course, Sensei. The first man comes up and squares off with Vickie. He moves quickly but gracefully as Vickie tries to avoid his snares and catches. After a few minutes, he manages to bring her down and then lets her back up. She bows back as he sits down. The next man stands up and bows to Vickie, and she bows. He simply stands there as she slowly moves toward him. She tries to grab onto his keikog, Keikogi. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, which is the Aikido top part of the uniform. She tries to gain leverage to move him, but his hands never leave their side, as everything she attempts simply moves herself off balance. The man never raises his hands to defend himself, even when Vickie tries to kick him. He seems to move forward, pushing her over with his body. She manages to stay on her feet. She then spins around in the air to try and kick him in the top part of his chest. She feels nothing touch her as she lands on her side, almost upside down. She jumps back up, and the man is sitting in the chair with the others. She slowly stands up, and the man stands and bows to her as she bows back. He sits down as Sato looks at both, and they nod yes. Sato gets up and bows to Vickie, and she bows back. Sato, you have been promoted to Shodan. Vickie is humbled, as this means she has reached the equivalent of first-degree black belt in Aikido. She bows at Sato, and the two men stand up and bow to her as she bows back. The men leave to change as Vickie asks Sato, Sensei, who are they? Sato looks back at the dressing room door and replies, let's just say you were evaluated by two men who personally trained under the master who invented Aikido. Vickie is humbled as she has an idea of who they are. Sato, they don't come for anyone, only those who carry the spirit of the art in its true way. Next, we will begin teaching you Kendo, the way of the sword. Vickie, what about Aikido? Sato laughs. Aikido is swords. It is the same techniques without a sword in hand. Everything in Japan revolves around the sword. Vickie bows as Sato bows back. Vickie is having lunch on campus, and Kevin asks, may I join you? Vickie, of course, silly. Kevin sits down next to Vickie and asks, have not seen you in a while since you and John split up. Yeah, John. It's none of my business, but you know John is still pining for you. You here to agent for him? No, not me. Just wondering if you still like him. Of course I like him, but I can't be with him. Drinking, I know. I'm sorry he has a problem with it. To be honest, it's gotten really bad recently. We have found him passed out several times in the last few weeks on the grounds. John? You know, he and I were high school friends too. No, I did not. I wonder why you guys were so thick from the freshman year. Vickie looks around a bit and says, say, are you still with that girl from the carnival? Kevin, carnival? Oh, her, no. We went out once in a great while, but not serious. So you available? Kevin laughs. Yes, totally available, especially for you. Vickie smiles. So, you want to go out sometime? Isn't that my line? Sorry, don't be like that. They pause and watch as people walk by. Kevin, you are quite popular in this biz group. In the biz groups. Vickie, they are politically important for resumes. Ah, thinking ahead, what are your goals? Career-wise, I want to run a large company, govern my own destiny, and have the financial independence to live as I want. You and everyone else on this planet, you have a roadmap to get there? I have a few ideas. Care to share? Vickie looks at Kevin and smirks. I plan to intern as a junior executive at a marketing company. That gives me access to other companies and gets an idea of their plans and which direction they are heading. This gives me an idea of what to invest in. Eventually, I hope to have enough investment capital to buy my way into a high-level executive position somewhere. Wow. Okay, that is interesting. That sound workable? Sounds like you have lived a life already in business and just following what you did before. You're funny. It's just logical. Hey, I have to run. You want to go out tonight? Yes, that would be fine. I have no class tonight. I will meet you at the front of your dorm at 7. See you there. Kevin smiles and walks off. Vickie smiles to herself and finishes her lunch. Kevin arrives at Vickie's dorm and Vickie comes out to cue, it seems. And Vickie comes out on cue, it seems. Vickie, hi handsome. Kevin, hi beautiful. They hold hands and walk to the parking lot in front of Kevin's frat house to get to his car. As they walk away, out of the shadows, John steps out to watch them. He drinks his beer and walks distantly behind them. Kevin and Vickie get in his car and head to drive to a burger joint. Kevin, that okay? Vickie, it's fine. What do you want? I would love a fish sandwich and vanilla shake. Good choice. Kevin orders their food and looks at Vickie. So here we are. Vickie, yes, here we are. Kevin reaches over to kiss Vickie. Vickie looks at him and gives him a kiss. It was a passionless kiss. Kevin leans back in his seat. Okay then. Vickie, sorry. I guess I had things on my mind. Kevin exhales. John. Look, I'm sorry. I guess I still have feelings for him. They both look down at the dash as Vickie says, you know what is weird about it all? Kevin looks at her and he nods his head no. I can't stand to be with him because of his excessive drinking, but for some reason I can't help but think and feel something for him. That is weird. You know what? Let us have our food and take you back home. I'm sorry I'm such a sucky date. No, you're great. It's just that he is my good friend and I feel strange being with a girl who has feelings for him. Also, he is obsessed with you. You're a very cool guy, Kevin. He smiles as the food arrives. They enjoyed a cool evening of food, and Kevin takes her back to the driveway by the dorm. No words were said on the travel as Vickie gets out. Have a good time, Kevin. Oh, sorry. I had a good time, Kevin. Kevin, so did I. I hope you have a good rest of the evening. Evening is still young, so I think I'll run up to the study hall. For some reasons, the silence there helps me think. Vickie arrives at her room, and Cindy says, Vickie, you are here. Vickie, what's wrong? John was here drunk, wanting to know where you and Kevin went. Oh, Lord, where is he now? At that moment, a loud, sporadic knock comes from the door. Vickie, John, you're drunk. Get in here. Vickie grabs John and pulls him into the dorm room. John, so you and Kevin have a good time? Vickie, John, you need coffee and a good night's rest. Where did you two go? Vickie grabs his beer and is about to pour it as she sniffs the opening. This isn't beer, this is hard liquor. You have a much bigger problem than I thought. Vickie pours the contents of his beer bottle out into the sink. John says, I have more in my room. Vickie looks disgusted. John, sit down on my bed and relax. I want to know how you feel about Kevin. Cindy, I think I'm going to leave for a bit, okay? Vickie, go. Cindy leaves as Vickie walks up to John. If you don't stop this, you will regret it. When you sober up, you're going to hate yourself. I love you, Vickie. Don't you know that? You are all I want in life. I love you too, John, but not like this. I'm going to call your friend Kevin to come and take you back to your room. Oh, you're going to call that punk who calls me his friend while he takes my girlfriend? Vickie holds up the phone as John is crying. I wanted to marry you. John, sweetie, let me get you help. Vickie dials the study hall as John sits on the bed, holding his head in his hands, constantly crying. Vickie on the phone with Kevin. Kevin, John is here in my dorm room. Can you come and pick him up? Kevin responds, crap, on my way. Vickie hangs up the phone and sits next to John. Kevin is on his way. John, I really screwed up, didn't I? Then John's demeanor changes to anger as he stands up. You witch cheated on me. I'm going to my room. Vickie says, you know what, John? I'm done with trying to help you. John opens the door, chanting obscenities as he leaves. Vickie sits on her bed, holding her head in her hands. Cindy returns. You just going to let him go? Vickie has tears in her eyes. I can't deal with that. It's too much like my dad. What if he gets in trouble? Let him. He needs a wake-up call. He's going to his room. Are you sure? Vickie steps up, goes to the bathroom. I don't care. John staggers back to his frat house parking lot and gets in his car. He backs out, hitting two cars and scrapes another, driving forward. He heads to the main road out of the campus area as he sees the headlights of Kevin oncoming. It is unmistakable because Kevin has extra lights in the middle of his grill. John hits the gas and tries to maintain as straight driving as possible. As soon as Kevin approaches, Kevin is totally aware of John oncoming. As soon as they're close, John veers towards Kevin, hitting him head on. John is ejected from the seat through the windshield and thrown over Kevin's car into the ditch on the other side of the road. Kevin's car lifts up as his head hits the steering wheel, killing him instantly. The night grows quiet as the commotion of impact settles down. Vickie answers the bathroom door as Cindy says, I think something happened outside. There was a loud crash. Vickie steps out and goes out of her dorm room door. At that moment, she hears the sounds of sirens in the distance, invading the silence. Vickie runs downstairs, followed by Cindy. Vickie sees police lights reaching an accident down the road as she runs to it. By the time she reaches it, policemen have already set up a perimeter and stop her. Police. Young lady, please stay back. Vickie looks over and sees the smashed-in face of Kevin lying lifeless. Police on the other side yell, here is the other one. Shortly after, an ambulance arrives and begins to work on John. Vickie is crying as she sees them unloading John onto a gurney and into an ambulance. Cindy finally makes it to Vickie, totally out of breath. Is that John? Excuse me. Vickie looks at Cindy crying and shakes her head yes. Cindy sees Kevin in his car as the paramedics look at police, shaking his head no to indicate he's gone. Cindy starts tearing up. Kevin? Vickie stands straight and starts walking back to her dorm. Cindy looks back and forth between the accident and Vickie and starts to follow Vickie. Cindy wants to talk, but she just walks by Vickie as Vickie stares at the ground, whimpering all the way back to the dorm. They reach the dorm room and Vickie goes into the bathroom and slams the door closed. Cindy feels sorrowful as she says, Vickie, honey, are you okay? Cindy sits on the bed and says, Vickie, it is not your fault. Please come out and talk to me. The bathroom door opens as Cindy stands. Vickie is standing there for a moment in the doorway, then walks briskly towards Cindy and hugs her tight, crying, Cindy, it's okay, I'm here. Vickie and Cindy sit on her bed, continuing to hold each other as Vickie cries, as she has been wanting to cry like that for years. The night ends as Vickie lets out event after event of frustration on Cindy's shoulders in the form of tears. Love is blonde. John is unconscious in the hospital while Vickie watches. It has been days, and Vickie keeps a vigil in his room. She is awoken by a nurse. Miss, you need to go home. Vickie, I'm sorry I drifted off. The nurse is about to leave when Vickie asks, has his parents been here? The nurse turns back. Honey, they are paying for his care but have not been here. They know he is here but not have been here? Look, I don't know the details, but the rumor is they don't want to see him because he killed someone while drinking. Vickie gives a disgusted look as the nurse leaves. She stares at John and walks over to his bedside. John is on a respirator with IV solutions feeding him. Vickie holds John. I should have kept you with me. I'm so sorry, John. I love you. Vickie wipes the tears from her face and places his hand comfortably on his side and leaves. To his side and leaves. Vickie arrives back at her dorm and Cindy wakes up. Hey, Vickie, what time is it? 2 a.m. Oh, good night. Good night, Cin. The next morning, Cindy wakes up for class and Vickie is already gone. Cindy goes to the hospital and finds Vickie staring at John. Vickie, I did not even hear you leave. Vickie, I did not want to wake you again. Cindy walks over to John. Has he come to any? No. Do they know when he will come out of it? It could be days, even years. Cindy looks at John. My God, Vickie, why don't you let me watch him and you go rest? I did this to him. I can't leave. Oh, Vic, please don't do this to yourself. Cindy sits down in the chair next to John, and Vickie looks back at John. A few minutes later, Sato arrives. Vickie stands up and bows as Sato says, Please, Miss Newsom, no need for formalities here. I wanted to check on you. Sensei, please Sato or Mr. Takashi. Mr. Takashi, I'm sorry for missing class. No need to apologize. I heard about the accident and I'm sorry. I should have never let him leave. Sato looks at John and back at Vickie. Let me ask you a question, Miss Newsom. You cannot control everything around you in life. He made his choice long before he ever took a drink. His collision was just a matter of time. Blaming yourself only validate that which is not true. Feel sorry for him, but you did not make this happen. Thank you, Mr. Takashi. Sato nods to Cindy and walks to the door and says, they did it to themselves, all of them. Sato looks at Vickie as she looks back confused that he somehow knows her past. Or maybe he can just see it in her. Sato, insulate yourself from the world. Never isolate. Understand, Mrs. Newsom? Miss Newsom? Vickie nods yes. Sato nods back and smiles as he leaves. Cindy and Vickie look at each other as Vickie sits down. Cindy, are you going to Kevin's funeral tomorrow? Cindy. Vickie, can you watch John if I go? Of course, Vic. Thank you, Sin. The next day, Cindy arrives at the hospital as Vickie is dressed in a black dress. Cindy, Vickie, there's a cab waiting for you to take you to the funeral. After that, it will bring you back. My parents paid for it. Vickie, thank you, Cindy, and thank your parents for it. Vickie holds John's hands. I will be back, John. Vickie slowly leaves to the cab. The cab arrives to the funeral as Kevin's family lives in the town the college is in. Vickie stands at the back of the family and friends at the gravesite. Everyone stares at the casket as Kevin's mother sees Vickie and walks back to her. Vickie is holding back tears as her eyes are full of sympathy. Kevin's mom grabs Vickie's hand and says, be with us. She leads Vickie to the front of the family. The priest commences the final ceremonies and the casket is lowered. Vickie cannot control the tears as Kevin's mom hands her a tissue. Thank you, Miss Lesterson. Miss Lesterson, he loved John. They were friends since they were waist high to me. I forgive John, but I don't forgive you. The reason I don't forgive you is there is nothing to forgive. I know that you have been watching John at the hospital. Please, if I could forgive John for what he did to my baby, you can forgive yourself. Vickie weeps as she looks at Mr. Lesterson and nods yes to her. And he nods yes to her. Sorry. Vickie, go and do what my son told me you were meant to do in this world. The world needs you, strong people who can make a difference. Kevin believed that about you. He knew it and even preached it to us. He saw in you something he had never has seen in anyone else. Don't let his belief in you die in vain. Please don't, for my son's sake. Vickie, I promise I will. I will. Sorry. The family start to leave as Vickie looks back at the casket in the hall. Vickie, Kevin, I will. Vickie leads to her cab and it takes her back to the hospital. Vickie arrives and Cindy is reading a magazine. Cindy, how are you? Vickie, I'm fine, Sin. Let's go. What about John? I will visit him from time to time, but I have a life to live. The meteor hit, but I am still alive. Cindy looks confused as they both walk out. What meteor? I will tell you later. A couple of days later, Cindy comes back from martial arts class and Cindy says, Vickie, the hospital called. John is awake now. Vickie, thanks, Sin. Wait, coming with you. That's okay, I'm fine. Vickie arrives at the hospital and John is barely awake. She holds his hand. Hey, Johnny. John, very weak sounding. Hey, Vickie, why am I here? They told me I was in an accident. Vickie, yes, you were. You were asleep for days. Is my car total? Yes. What do you remember? Nothing. You just rest, John. Vickie, thank you for being here. I did not think you liked me anymore. John, I have always loved you. You rest now. John falls asleep again as Vickie stares. The next day, Vickie arrives in John's room and he is more lucid than before. Vickie, you were here last night. I didn't imagine that, right? Yes, I was here. I've been here every day watching you. Till you woke up. John smiles. That makes me feel good. Can you do me a favor? Sure, John. Can you let Kevin know I'm awake? Vickie looks at the ground and then to the window with tears in her eyes. John asks, what's wrong? John, this is hard for you to hear, but Kevin and you were in an accident. What? Is he okay? You were drunk the night of the accident and upset I was out with Kevin. I called Kevin to come and get back and get you, and you stormed mad out of the dorm room. I thought you were going back to the frat house. Instead, you got in your car and wrecked it, leaving the parking lot against a few cars. You were really drunk. And down Ellis Street, you saw Kevin coming in from the other lane For some reason, you hit him head on. The accident threw you through the windshield. John has tears rolling down his cheek. What about Kevin? He repeats angrily and upset. What about Kevin? He died in the accident. John turns his head the other way and starts crying. Kevin, Kevin. Vickie stands up and holds John's hand. John, look at me. John turns to Vickie with his eyes full of watery tears. You have to let this go. How can I? I killed my best friend in the world. I know. I blame myself too. But Kevin's family told me they forgave you. If they can forgive you, then you can forgive yourself. I don't know how. I know you don't feel that way now, but you must start thinking about it. I don't deserve to live. Kevin loved you. Please live for him. About that time, an accident detective from the sheriff's office comes in. Ma'am, are you related to who? I am his girlfriend. Detective, I understand. I need to ask him some questions. Can you leave us? Vickie looks at John. I love you, John. I will be back later. John nods his head as Vickie smiles and walks to the door where the detective is. She stops and whispers to the detective, please be nice to him. He just found out what happened. Detective, I just have some simple questions to ask. Vickie, I know you are gathering evidence to charge him with the death of his best friend. Remember, it was his best friend. Young lady, you need to leave. Vickie turns and stares into his eyes. He stares back. Detective, it will be all right. Vickie nods. Okay, as she leaves. Okay, I think we're going to stop here for today. I hope you're enjoying this. You can check out Mike's other books. Well, they're on our website, and they can buy these books on Amazon. He's not going to let me read the other books except for the first chapter. You know, this is his hard work, and he can't exactly give it all away for free. Anyway, please spread love and kindness wherever you go. Hope you all have a great day. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.